We have Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates next weekend, and Ian Garry will not win and does not stand a chance against Carlos Prates in this fight night. I'm going to go over the X's and O's, I'm going to go over some stats, and I'm going to give you the on-paper and textbook reasons why Ian Garry will not win. And if you have a lapse of judgment about my credibility for a second, just take a look at these. My predictions the past couple weeks have been more accurate than the Weasel, MMA Guru, Lucas Tracy, probably almost any other YouTuber. So if you don't agree with me, that's fine. But at the end of the day, I'm one of the most accurate ones out here. So it is what it is. After the main event, I'm also going to look over some other fights and give you my picks for those as well. But let's get into it. So why exactly do I say that Ian Garry doesn't stand a chance? My first reason is Ian Garry's striking has gotten progressively worse throughout his last couple fights. When he was on the feet with Shavkat was the one that did the damage. Ian Garry's only 2 rounds that he secured against Shavkat were due to grappling, not striking. And even MVP, he had to panic wrestle, which fair enough, it's MVP, but he looked awful. You could look at the Jeff Neal fight. Ian Garry was smudging him on the fence, not doing anything, and he was getting clipped a lot too. Ian Garry's on a plant-based diet. I know this is well known by now, but there really is truth to the fact that he's not going to be performing at his best when he's on a plant-based diet. His recovery is not going to be as good. His body's not getting all the minerals he needs, and he's probably low protein. And if he's not, he's getting his protein from sources that aren't very bioavailable, leak stew. So Ian Garry's just deteriorating his own body for whatever reason. I will say his grappling has gotten very good as he is training at Chute Box with Charles Oliveira, Damian Maia, and all those other Brazilian guys. But here's why I think Carlos will win. Let's just look at the fight on the feet. If you don't know by now, which you should, Carlos Prates is a far better striker than Ian Garry. His kicks may not be as good, but his boxing is 10 times better. And he also holds 10 times more power than Ian Garry, especially the Ian Garry now, who has gotten slower and less powerful. Right now, the whole Fighting Nerds team has this aura of invincibility. We haven't seen any of the 4 main characters lose yet, and they're going out there and doing better and better each time. Each Fighting Nerds performance is looking increasingly better. Obviously, they're doing something right in the gym. Like they say themselves, their game planning is elite. And I think he's going to be able to be ready for Ian Garry's takedowns. You look at Carlos Prates' takedown defense, 92%. Yeah, it's not against Ian Garry's. Yeah, it's not against Kamaru Usman's, Bilal Muhammad's. But 92% in the UFC is still extremely solid for any fighter, no matter how you try to twist it. Everyone at the UFC is still elite. Neil Magny had a super deep, was it single or high crotch? I think it was probably a single on Prates and was not able to finish. And Neil Magny's elite, and Carlos Prates is only going to be getting better since the Neil Magny fight. And look at Prates' knockdown average, 3.54. Dude, 3.54 knockdowns a fight, and his average fight time is under 7 minutes. That's literally less than half a fight. An absolute finisher. He has 16 wins by knockout, and he's always able to crack his opponent's chin. Look at the Leech. The Leech wasn't really that chinny, and he was dropping the Leech all over the place. And then Neil Magny, well, his chin's made of shale, but he still cracked that with a punch that didn't even look like it landed. It literally grazed him, and he sent Neil Magny to sleep. So this dude has unspeakable power. And then we can look at Ian Garry. Look at his takedown accuracy, 55%. He's shooting 55% on his takedown accuracy against someone who has a 92% takedown defense rate. He is not going to be getting takedowns as easy as you think, which is his only path to victory, as he's not outstriking Prates. He couldn't even outstrike Shavkat. Look at his knockdown average, 0.5 knockdowns a fight. What's that, a seventh of Prates? Prates has way more power than Garry. We've even seen Garry chinned in the UFC before by Song Kenan, and while he did recover well, it's still scary that a low-level UFC fighter was able to drop him, and he's going to be going against someone 10 times more powerful, who's a 10 times better finisher. His defense is very good, I'll say. His significant strike defense, he only absorbs a little under 3 per minute, which is solid. But at the same time, all it takes for Carlos Prates is 1. He hurts Ian Garry once, and he's done. Now there's some unanswered questions about Prates due to his short fight time, like how good's his cardio? And to be honest, it's probably not the best. He smokes cigarettes and drinks outside of camp, which a lot of fans hype him up for and think is cool, but at the end of the day, it's gonna hurt his cardio. And I'd be willing to bet Ian Garry has a better cardio. But at the same time, I don't think Prates is going to need all that time. I think he's going to get Ian Garry out of there relatively quick. Again, we have seen Ian Garry dropped by bottom of the barrel competition in the UFC in Song Kenan. What do you think Prates is going to do to him? He's going to, bro, he's literally going to send Ian Garry flying. He's going to send his head into the nosebleeds of the Apex. Is it in the Apex? No, it's not in Apex. It's in Kansas City. Bro, imagine this was in the Apex. That'd be crazy. That'd be so disrespectful. But last point I got to make, look at their last fights. Again, I always say how big of a thing momentum is. Carlos Prates coming off a win. It was a Neil Magny fight, I believe. Garry coming off a loss, and while it was a good performance, he's still down right now. Carlos Prates is on a, like a 3-4 fight knockout streak in the UFC. Ian Garry hasn't knocked someone out since like 2006, bro. Like, Ian Garry is not the knockout artist that you think. He's knocking out 40-year-old D-Rod with a head kick, not even clean out, like Prates sleeps him. He's TKOing D-Rod. Like, I'm sorry, on the feet, it's going to be no match. And like I said, while Ian Garry's grappling is good, Carlos Prates has the defense to show for it. We've seen him defend takedowns. Very good takedown attempts at that. And every second that it's on the feet, Ian Garry's going to be in immense danger. He's going to be shooting for dear life. He says he's going to send a knee through Carlos Prates' head. That's just all talk. He's not standing with him. And then you can look at their age. Carlos Prates, 31, Ian Garry, 27. You might say, oh, that gives Ian Garry the advantage. No, it actually doesn't, because in the welterweight division, prime years are anywhere from 30 to 34. So Carlos Prates is right in those prime years at his career. Ian Garry hasn't quite reached it yet. And you can even look at the reach. Carlos Prates has a 3.5-inch reach advantage on Ian Garry, which is only going to give him an even bigger advantage on the feet, as if he didn't have a huge one already. But all those things being said, I think Carlos Prates gets it done pretty comfortably, and I don't really see how Ian Garry can win this. Carlos Prates is the underdog? Bro, there's no way Carlos Prates is the underdog. That is crazy. Dude, that is the bet of the year, the bet of the century. Next, we got Anthony Smith versus Zhang Mingyang. I could go into the X's and O's, or I could just give you the straight answer, which I'm just going to give you the straight answer because I don't need to waste anyone's time. Anthony Smith is a sheep sent to the slaughter right now. He's being used as a stepping stool for Zhang Mingyang. Yeah, Anthony Smith might catch him in the guillotine if he's very lucky, but at the end of the day, Zhang Mingyang has a lot of power on the feet, way better striking, and at this point, Anthony Smith's grappling is going to be strong enough to hurt or finish someone like Zhang Mingyang. So, Zhang Mingyang, much younger, much less damage taken, and Anthony Smith has just been on a terrible skid, so I'm going to go Zhang Mingyang, but I will say, it's a very overlooked fact of Anthony Smith. His finish rate is like super high. Like almost all his 38 wins are by finish, which is crazy. I didn't know that. I would have thought it was like decisions, but this guy's a finisher somehow, some way. But yeah, Zhang Mingyang, he's being set up for a win. It's kind of sad because it's Anthony's last fight, and they're going to do him like this. But I'm hoping he can win, but I just don't think it's going to happen. I'm going to go Zhang Mingyang, probably by TKO or something. Anthony Smith is on the fence covering up. Next, we got David Onama versus Giga Chikadze. Somehow Giga is an underdog. Let's just look at his takedown defense first. 70%, okay. David Onama, takedown accuracy 20%, okay. So with that knowledge, we know Giga Chikadze is going to be able to keep it on the feet. And I'm going to tell you something about Giga. He just fought Arnold Allen, probably one of the best fighters at featherweight. Not probably, he is one of the best fighters at featherweight. And he looked phenomenal against him. He won the first round and he slowed down after that, but that was the best performance he ever had. Even though it was a loss, and I like to look at the momentum factor, Giga Chikadze is the much better striker. He outstruck Caceres too, who's an amazing striker. I don't know how Giga Chikadze, again, is the underdog. People are really just sleeping on him because he had a few bad fights, but at the end of the day, his striking tool bag, his kicks, everything he has, he's going to piece up Onama on the feet, who gets dropped all the time. And he's never fought anyone as good as Giga Chikadze. Giga Chikadze, who has he lost to? Calvin Kattar, Arnold Allen. I don't even know the other two, so call me casual, I don't care. But look, Giga Chikadze is fighting the top competition. David Onama is not even fighting ranked 15 guys. And didn't he just lose to Nate Landwehr at some point? It was a good fight. That fight was crazy, but they both gassed too. So David Onama is not going to have like the huge gas tank advantage, which is bad for Giga Chikadze. He's not going to have the striking advantage, and his takedown accuracy is 20%. So he's not going to be taking Giga Chikadze down. in my opinion. So I'm going to go Giga Chikadze, probably by decision, out damage him, or he'll even chin him. So this one's an easy dog pick. Go Giga Chikadze. Next, we got Michelle Pereira versus Abus Magomedov. Now, I'm not as well versed in Abus Magomedov as I am Michelle Pereira, but let's look at the facts. We both know their gas tanks are awful, but this is going to be a 3-rounder. 100% takedown defense for Abus Magomedov, 65. All right. All right, I've seen all I needed to see. Abus Magomedov has the momentum right here. But again, Michel Pereira, he was on a tear when he went up to middleweight, and he has since lost to Anthony Hernandez, who's probably going to be a future #1 contender champion. And that was also while getting dominated on the ground. But at the end of the day, Michel Pereira is probably one of the best strikers at middleweight. Abus Magomedov is not. Abus Magomedov can be chinned. Abus Magomedov's takedown and accuracy is not the best either at 65, which actually for the UFC, it's like mediocre, but he's no Anthony Hernandez. He's not going to pressure him that hard. He can't pressure him that hard if he wants because his cardio is not there. Let's look at that age. I'm going to go with Michel Pereira. I think he'll be able to chin him. His striking is just too good, and it's going to be a similar fight to the Giga Chikadze fight. I just don't see how Abus Magomedov gets it done. Next, we got Randy Brown versus Dalby. Again, this one's an easy pick. Randy Brown coming off what should have been a win against Brian Battle. He almost definitely won that 3rd round. He landed all the big shots. All Battle did was hold him against the fence in that 3rd round. Versus Nicholas Dalby, who he's old. He's getting slower. He's not getting any better. Randy Brown's only getting better. Randy Brown's punches have looked way more powerful, way faster. He's become a so much better fighter as of late. His takedown defense has gotten way better. This was going to be an easy win for Randy Brown. He'll probably chin Nicholas Dalby and win by KO or TKO. Next, we got Aliskerov versus Andre Muniz. Now, before the Whitaker fight, people were hyping up Aliskerov, saying this dude's going to chin Whitaker, this, that, and the other. Obviously, that didn't happen. But Aliskerov has 2 losses to a former middleweight champion and a likely future middleweight champion, at least a middleweight champion contender in Khamzat Chimaev. Extremely dominant force, and he wasn't even able to take down Ikram. So the question of whether or not Andre Muniz will be able to take him down is a pretty easy one to answer. It's no. No, he's not going to be able to take down Aliskerov. And on the feet, Aliskerov has a very deep tool bag and a lot of power. His chin's not the best, but Andre Muniz isn't much of a finisher on the feet. So Aliskerov has a grappling advantage, and he has a striking advantage. So when he has the advantage in probably 2 of the most primary parts of the game, it's kind of hard for Andre Muniz to win, unless he gets lucky, but I'm going off statistics. I'm going off what we know, not the unknown, not luck. But I'm going to Aliskerov. I think he's going to get this one done. Matt Schnell versus Jimmy Flick. Dude, I'm not going to lie. I know I've watched Matt Schnell before and he calls me a casual, but Matt Schnell has the craziest chin of all time in a bad way. Like, this dude got knocked out in so many different ways. I'm going with Jimmy Flick. I don't care that he's the underdog. And, like, these dudes, I don't... like, these are all Contender Series guys. I know Cameron Simon, Jocelyn Edwards. I just can't give an educated guess on any of these guys, to be honest. I could look at their stats, but at the end of the day, I haven't seen them fight. And I'm not going to give you a random screwball pick, which I'm not confident in, so I'm going to skip these guys for now. I'll learn about them as I watch this card, so calm down. Yes, I could have done research, but the best research is just watch them, so... And I'm not buying UFC Fight Pass at the end of the day. I'm not that rich. That was my prediction for Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates. My exact reason why it is that Ian Garry will not be winning that fight. If you agree or disagree with anything, let me know in the comments. I'll respond to all of them as always. And thank you for watching. I'll see you soon.